Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked, blissed. Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Yes.
Me too. Hey, it's great to hear your voice, Dr. Shealy.
Always.
Let me just mention a couple quick things. This is USA Prepares, and we broadcast 2 hours a day, 5 days a week from the Missouri Ozark Mountains. Alex is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota at GCN. I'm Vincent Finelli. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. And if you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call, 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. Telephone listen line, 605-477-3249. Dr. Shealy, what's new with Dr. Shealy?
Oh, just another week.
In paradise. Yeah. Did you have these massive, massive winds that we had here at our farm?
And it's all due to climate change. You heard those people at Congress.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I've got a tip for our class. And you can do this, class, if you put a new roof on or you're building a new house, if you're doing that, I suggest you buy an extra bundle or two of shingles. Okay, so whatever color you choose, if you're going to use the composition shingles that most people use, get an extra bundle or two, and they're about 33 square feet per bundle, and it's going to cost you, some amount of money, let's say less than $50 typically, to do this, and then put them away. Put them in your garage or wherever you want to store them. And that way, if you have high winds and you lose a few shingles here and there, or over time they just break, you'll have shingles that match the same exact pattern. So it won't look like you've patched your roof as much, okay, because you will have the same exact shingles. So that's what we do, and we've got to get up on our roof and put some shingles back because that's what happened. A couple of them, not many, just a couple blew off. We had really high winds. And it was nice to see our solar array still standing. It was great to see that. Dr. Shealy.
Always prepared.
Yeah. So what do you think about having extra shingles to match? Because if you...
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. Dr. Shealy, I want to share something with you. I read this story. Unbelievable to me. So there are times when I've walked into one of those stop and robs, as we call them here in Missouri. And those are those gas stations, those quick fill up, run in, use the restroom, get something to drink, those kind of places. They sell hot dogs and, food that you really shouldn't eat. And anyway, so there's this new technology. And what this is you go in and you see these massive refrigerator doors, walls of glass where you can look in and see all kinds of soda and other drinks, water, and sometimes beer, lemonade, whatever these bottled drinks are, cans. You can make your choice through the glass door. The idea is to have a glass refrigerator door so you can make your choice before you open it up and stand there and let all the cold out or the hot air in to the refrigerator. Well, what they do now, and they're experimenting with this across the United States, they have, instead of glass, they have an LED screen. So the refrigerator door is now a screen, and it's turned 90 degrees, and on the screen is displayed products like what they think you're going to want to have. So if you walk in and you're black and middle-aged and you have a hood on, they probably have a specific offering that they think you're going to want. If you're white and middle-aged and have a hood on, they're going to have a specific drink that you're going to want. If you are overweight, they're going to have a specific drink that you're going to want. So what they're doing is they're sizing you up based on, and I don't know all the criteria, so I don't really know if it's black or white, but it probably is. I'm pretty sure it is. But based on the age that this camera that's aimed right at you determines you are, plus the sex that they think you are. Well, actually, how would they know? Bruce Jenner might walk in. They might think he's an old guy or an old gal, depending on whether he's wearing high heels or not, right? So, so they may get it wrong. But the point is, they have cameras now on the doors of these refrigerator sections of these stores that sell drinks to try to predict what you're going to want to buy based on who they think you are. Black, white, yellow, red, brown, whatever it may be, they're going to try to predict what you should buy based on what they think you are. Over the top, unbelievable? I think it is. What do you think, Dr. Shealy?
Well, I think it's racist.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And then they're looking at retinal scans. And then where does this stop? I mean, does it stop before or after these cameras then access a national database and send your information to the police so that while you're trying to decide whether you want a bottle of water or a bottle of orange soda, they may think that you're a criminal and then the cops come and haul you away. I mean,
they are being prepared.
Gosh, I don't like it, Dr. Shealy. I don't like where we're going with this.
I don't either. But then there's so much in commerce. I don't like it. This is just the tip of an iceberg.
Yeah, I want, Dr. Shealy, I really don't want to go out very often. I don't want to go to places because of the surveillance technology and the police, arresting people for crimes that the cops thought that people might be considering committing, whether they have or not. Dr. Shealy, is there a food, I was thinking about this, because I don't go out to eat very often, I mean very, very, very rarely do I go out to eat, nor does the family, because I'm concerned about the hygiene of the food workers. I'm concerned about, well, let me give you an example. Last night I was washing pots and pans, and we have this, it's not steel wool, it'd be like stainless steel wool. It's this coarse, very coarse pad of stainless steel, and I put some dishwashing detergent on there, and I scrub the pots and pans. But it gets smaller. This thing starts out large, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Well, I know what's happening. Little pieces of this stainless steel scrubber are breaking off through the flexing and the bending back and forth that happens as you use them. And they can get caught in spaghetti colanders, or if you use a colander for, washing vegetables, that kind of thing. They can get caught in there, and then we could end up eating those little bits. And I know that stainless steel is not digestible. What are the concerns that you have, Dr. Shealy, about eating little bits of metal? And that's one of the reasons why I don't want to go to restaurants, because I don't think that I can trust them to be careful with the cleaning of the pots, pans, dishes, all that stuff.
Certainly use stainless steel, all kinds of sizes, if you will, for most of my life. I never thought about eating any of it. Mm-hmm. I thought when I finished rinsing, maybe it was all gone.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know, Dr. Shealy, I know for a fact that when I start out with this ball of stainless steel scrubber, it would be like a stainless, or like a steel Brillo pad or SOS pad, whatever you want to call it, but much coarser. It's not such fine little pieces of threads and wires. This is much coarser. But it disappears. As you use it over and over and over, it disappears. And pretty soon you got a little small piece. And that stainless steel went down the drain, hopefully. But and sometimes it sticks to the colanders. And I inspect it very carefully, and I run my hand over it with with warm water to make sure that, there are no threads stuck on there. But it's possible that little threads of stainless steel, or if it were just regular, an SOS pad or a Brillo pad or a clone of those, that those little threads could be on the colander and could go into whatever you're eating. And by the time you figure it out, down the hatch. So would you be concerned if we swallowed sharp-edged pieces of steel, stainless steel?
I would think that was potentially very dangerous.
Okay. Now, what would be the answer? Let's say it's not stainless steel. Let's do two examples. Let's say we swallow a little bit of an SOS pad that does not have the soap on it anymore because we rinsed that off, but it's a little thread and it's magnetic. Are you concerned about that sticking into the stomach wall or intestine wall or the throat?
Not be. Until today, I never thought about it.
Okay. Right. Well, I know what we do with cows. So if we think a cow ate some nails or or a piece of fence or a little piece of barbed wire, and if we think a cow did that, what we do is we give them a magnet. So, and I'm very serious about this. So these magnets are like half a hot dog in size. They're rounded on both ends. Open wide. There you go. So it'd be like a capsule. If we took a, vitamin capsule, like one of your Dr. Shealy's Essentials or Dr. Shealy's Youth Formula, a capsule, but cow size, not people size, and the size of a hot dog. Half a hot dog, rounded like a hot dog on both ends, down the throat and through the digestive system, and it will pick up, magnetic attracted metals like iron, steel, those kinds of things. And then out it comes. And then if you've got the courage, you can go look for your magnet.
The ultimate prepared person.
Yeah. But so is there something like that in medicine where, a child swallows something that's magnetic?
I'm not aware of feeding people magnets.
Okay.
Of
all
any
right.
size,
So then,
whatever.
All right. So it'd be a much more invasive process. Okay. So then the other question, and this one really it concerns me probably even more because I think that over time the digestive acids in the stomach and digestive system would corrode, a piece of steel. I'm talking like a Brillo pad type steel, whereas stainless steel, that's not going to corrode. So let's talk a little bit more about this when we come back, and maybe, class, you'll do the right thing and eat out less. Okay? Dr. Shealy's with us, normshealy.com. We'll be right back. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, and we're talking about cleaning dishes and pots and pans and colanders and things like that. And my concern was that these little tiny pieces of stainless steel would break off and get caught in the crevices or the holes of the colanders, or maybe if you've got a ding in your, or a little tiny cut in your pot or pan or lid where these cleaning products would tear off, and you might end up eating them later as they became part of pasta or oatmeal or whatever you happen to be cooking. Or browning meat. And I haven't seen anything that said on the internet that said, oh yeah, be careful because these things disappear as you use them more and more and more. They get smaller and smaller and smaller, and they don't say where they go. Well, hopefully they go down the drain and they end up going back to the earth somehow but you know that they're entering the sewage treatment system and they're going to be back on the surface of the earth. But they are used because they don't typically scratch. They are soft on the hands. They have a really tremendously strong cleaning capacity for scraping off the baked on or burned on foods. They have a pretty long service life, and they're antibacterial. So that's why they're used. Dr. Shealy, there's a woman, I was reading this article about a woman, and she lived in Europe, in London, and she got sick, and she became more and more sick, ultimately became bedbound, and and couldn't get out of bed. And she saw her medical doctor, and they were unable to find a cure. And they found that her urine levels had high levels of mycotoxin, mold, extremely high levels. And so what happened was her living conditions in her bathroom had lots of black mold. The symptoms were steady decline in health, brain fog, headaches, skin rashes, and no energy. Just wore her out. Can you tell us, Dr. Shealy, what we should be concerned, why we should be concerned with mold, and what we can do about it? Any thoughts on that?
Well, Missouri is particularly known for having black mold. And, I mean, we have a very, at times, very damp climate. And, our body is not always immune or adequate to protect from odd fungus diseases. Fungi are not generally a friend. And so basically you try to keep it clean and you watch for, I mean, you can see black mold growing on the wall or the floor. Theoretically, that could be taken care of with a little Clorox or that kind of bleach solution. And occasionally it may require hiring a company to come in and clean up the mold.
Mm-hmm. And I know people who have done that. They've bought used homes and had the ductwork checked out, the heating system, and found all kinds of black mold in the heating systems. And that's really easy to grow mold in a heating system, the kinds that we have in the United States, where you have these metal ducts, and sometimes they have insulation inside the ductwork. And when you have your air conditioning on, what happens is the air conditioning evaporator, that coil that gets cold inside the heating system, will let, as the air blows across that coil, little droplets of water will get blown right off the coil. And as those droplets of moisture and water get blown off, they get into the insulation, and that's that allows the mold to start growing and continue growing and actually thrive in that damp environment. So that's a concern. And I don't know what the answer is, but I am experimenting with ultraviolet light. I did buy 2 ultraviolet light units, 2 more. I put 2 in our heating system already. I'm going to add more in our ductwork, and I'm using LED and fluorescent ultraviolet lights. And when I have an answer, I will be able to report if it's working or not. And I'd like to ask Dr. Shealy about Petri dishes when we come back. Class Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. So, Dr. Shealy, I'm interested in measuring or determining if I have dangerous mold in our heating system. So this is a forced air heating system. It's a heat pump system. So it circulates warm air in the winter, cool air in the summer. I'm not concerned so much about the heating side where the air is warm and dries out the ductwork, but the cool air blowing through it I'm concerned with. Do you have a recommendation for a Petri dish or how I can determine, opening up the ductwork and determining what's in there? Is there a method you recommend?
Actually, a Petri dish is a standard laboratory tool. I'm sure you could buy them and you just open it up, put it in your air anywhere in your ductwork, leave it for, let's say, I'd say 4 or 5 days, and take it out and see whether it's growing mold.
All right.
And what else?
Okay. So once I have this Petri dish, and the Petri dish class is a kind of a Pyrex disc, kind of like a low-profile dish with a Pyrex top. So it's like 2 jar lids, if you will.
It has a sort of gelatinized, if you will, material in which bacteria and fungi can grow.
Mm-hmm. So it's a nutrient, and they'll grow, and it's sterile before you open it up, and then once you open it up, then the air can get to it. So, Dr. Shealy, now once I get this mold growing on there, if that happens, what do I do to test it? Do I bring it somewhere? Do I have to be careful handling this? Do I wear a respirator? What do I do?
Well, I would just wash my hands personally.
Okay.
I wouldn't be particularly concerned about it. And, of course, you put the cover back on it and just set it at room temperature and see what happens.
Okay. And is there a lab? Okay, let me make sure I've got this right. So I expose it for 4 days in the heating ductwork. Then I open the heating ductwork back up and take the open Petri dish out, put the cover on it, and then do I watch it grow outside of the ductwork, or will it have already grown in the ductwork?
Well, it may have grown already. It depends on how long you left it in the duct. But if there's nothing visible, in other words, mold is going to be anywhere from almost perfectly white to yellow to can be tan or brown or black.
Mm-hmm.
So fungi come in different colors. But I would just set it on the counter. Maybe be sure it has some light, but not sunlight, and wait and see what happens.
Okay, so if we have white, tan, black, or yellow mold, do those colors tell us anything so that the layperson can get a handle on this without analysis, or do we have to have it analyzed? I
would have it analyzed. I don't think I trust my vision.
Okay.
Tell me.
Very, very good. All right. If we had a high school microscope, what I'm talking about is a decent quality microscope, would we be able to see anything?
Oh, yes. You can certainly tell the difference between a fungus and a bacteria.
Okay. What would the difference look like, Dr. Shealy?
Well, first of all, fungi are much larger, mm-hmm. and bacteria in general are either round or linear in mm-hmm. shape, but a fungus often has different branches to it, although it can be just a white fungus.
Okay.
Like a heavy spider web.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to see if I can look up some kind of a website or book that shows different kinds, and if I can find that, I'll post that on the website, USA Prepares. Dr. Shealy, in Roanoke, Virginia, the Roanoke County Board of Supervisors decided that they needed a new ordinance. And this one's unbelievable. This prohibits anyone from sleeping or living in a car, even if it's on private property. I think we've lost our minds. Because if I want to come home to my farm, if I lived in Roanoke, I think it's up to me whether I want to sleep in my car or not. I mean, I probably wouldn't want to, but the government of Roanoke, Virginia, has determined that you should not. It's not safe for you to sleep in your car, and if you get caught sleeping in your car, even if it's on your own property, you could face up to a $250 fine. And the reason I'm mentioning this, it's not a medical reason, but I just think we've lost our minds with how much.
The tip of an iceberg, let's face it.
Right.
Government is extremely, unbelievably, stupidly crazy. That's the kindest way I can put it.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned last week that I got this, but I wanted to share this with you. I don't know if you use the Missouri Farm Bureau for farm insurance or automotive insurance or building insurance, but we do here at our farm. And I receive every year we get this nice, busy, I mean really busy, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with with an invitation to renew our membership. And it shows the membership dues are $30. Then it has something they call number 1 MFB, that's Missouri Farm Bureau Farm Pack, which is a political action committee, plus $5. So it's $30 for membership. And then, now why would we have membership? Because in order to get insurance for our farm with the Farm Bureau, we have to be a member of the Farm Bureau. We did the same thing in Virginia. And it's a little less expensive if we're a member, or we believe it is. Maybe it's not. So membership dues are $30. Then it says below that MFB Farm Pack plus $5. Then MFB Foundation plus $5. So it's 30 plus 5 plus 5, total $40. Then there's a little box that says amount closed. And Mrs. Finelli just got off the phone with the Missouri Farm Bureau, and she said, why do you do this? Why do you tell people that they owe $40 when it's actually $30 and you have these two add-ons of $5 and $5? Why do you do that? And the secretary says, we hate it. For years, they have been complaining to upper management that it is a deceptive practice and people hate and beat up the secretaries because the secretaries answer the phone. Why do you guys do it? And then upper management at corporate headquarters of the Missouri Farm Bureau Corporation say, well, we get extra money doing that. So what I'm saying, class, is please read bills carefully, and you may not have to pay what they say is the total. It may be items added in for your overpayment, which you don't have to pay. So I think the answer is to complain to corporate headquarters, give them a piece of your mind. Now, in mine, I just did it really simply, and I don't normally do this, and I don't speak like this, class, but I crossed off the part that said, number 1, the add-on of $5 for the Farm Political Action Committee and for their foundation for $5 more. I crossed them out, and I wrote, go to hell. And then
You got to learn how to express yourself.
Well, Dr. Shealy, I mentioned to you that I am going to be more kind to myself, and I'm not going to keep these bottled-in frustrations. I'm just going to let them out. So that's just one example. Dr. Shealy, any comments?
I'm all with you.
Okay. I read an article on dailymail.co.uk, and here's what it says, and this is absolutely jaw-dropping. From Turkey to Cyprus and Fiji and the Maldives, 187 countries where you should not drink the water because it's not safe. Now, it says that drinking dirty water could mean a string of grim and potentially fatal infections such as typhoid and malaria. And Globe Hunters have designed an infographic based on official guidance from the Centers for Disease Control. What they've done is they've determined which countries it's not safe for most people to drink water in, because not necessarily pollution, but biologicals may be in that water that would cause infections, disease, and so forth. So it's not like the water is poisonous per se, but you could get really sick drinking it. And I'd like to read some of these countries, Dr. Shealy, because it's quite staggering. Is that okay with you?
Of course.
Okay. So these are the countries, according to some of the countries, and I'll post this article at usaprepares.com, some of the countries where water is unsafe to drink, according to the CDC. Afghanistan, Argentina, the Azores, the Bahamas, and we're talking about tap water now, Barbados, Belize, Bolivia, Brazil, the British Virgin Islands, Bulgaria, Cambodia, the Canary Islands, the Cayman Islands, China, Chad, Cuba, Colombia, Easter Island, Ecuador, Egypt, Ethiopia, Fiji, French Guiana, French Polynesia. Let's see, go back to the top. And I'm only reading a few. Georgia, Grenada, Guam, Guatemala, Haiti, Honduras, Hong Kong, India, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, the Ivory Coast, Kenya, Kosovo, Liberia, Lithuania, Madagascar, Malaysia, Mongolia, Nepal, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Oman, North Korea. Going back up. Pakistan, Paraguay, Peru, Philippines, Russia, Rwanda, St. Martin, St. Lucia, Samoa, Serbia, Sierra Leone, Sudan, goes on and on, Turkey, Venezuela. Let's talk about this when we come back with Dr. Norm Shealy. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. Dr. Shealy, let me just say where the CDC says you can drink tap water. That'd be Canada, the United States, Greenland, Iceland, Spain, United Kingdom, Finland, Poland, Japan, even with the Fukushima meltdown, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Australia, Italy, Chile, of course, the United States. So that's where we can drink the water safely. Dr. Shealy, any thoughts about tap water, medical concerns?
I don't like it anywhere because most of it, especially in this country, has fluoride in it. And I think that's almost as bad as bacteria and fungi.
What do you recommend from a medical perspective we do to make sure that we have safe drinking water that won't get us sick with diseases, diarrhea, those kinds of things?
Well, when you travel, the only thing I think you can be safe of is bottled water, whatever its shortcomings are with plastics and BPH or BHP or whatever. Bottled water. I just don't like city water.
One of the problems with bottled water is that some of it is just municipal water.
I know.
I was in one of those big, like Sam's Club or Costco, one of those places, and they had these big jugs of water, 3-gallon, 5-gallon jugs, and I decided that I needed to read the label. I wanted to know what was in that good-looking plastic container, and it said filtered municipal water, tap water. So there are people who are buying this stuff thinking that, it's different from what comes out of the tap. The difference is it's filtered. Filtered with what? Does that mean carbon block? Does that mean particulate filter, such as, just taking out the big chunks? What is that? I mean, I don't know. And they're not telling us.
Government nonsense.
Yeah. Okay. So I went to post the list of those countries where the water is deemed not safe by the CDC to drink. And so I went to USA Prepares, I went to log in, and I got this page that says account suspended. This account has been suspended. Contact your hosting provider for more information. Our email doesn't work for USA Prepares, so class, you can send it to me, I just won't get it. Any emails that end in usaprepares.com. So the email doesn't work. I can't log in, and you can't get to it either. Because if you type in www.usaprepares.com, hit the enter key, it will say account suspended. This account has been suspended. Contact your hosting provider for more information. So I can't tell you because I can't get to the website. Actually, I guess that's a good thing. Saves me some more time. Geez. Venezuela, Dr. Shealy, is dark. The electricity is almost completely out for the entire country. There's rioting in the streets, there's protests, there's looting, there's damaging, there's trash piling up, and people are dying. They're dying because, they don't have refrigeration. They're getting sick. The hospitals are hardly operational because they don't have electricity. Dr. Shealy, in your experience, having spent time in the medical world for decades, what do you think would happen in the United States if we had a blackout that lasted for days within the medical establishment? I'm talking about in hospitals, talking about clinics, I'm talking about dialysis.
And death. Chaos, devastation.
Can you give a couple thoughts to that? Chaos?
Well,
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I think any way we could handle it, it would be probably worse than Venezuela.
Okay. Dr. Shealy and I'll be right back after these few short commercial announcements and top of the hour news. NormShealy.com. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, blissed? Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. Dan in Missouri. Dan Sutterfield, welcome.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hi,
Good morning, Dan.
Yeah, you and the doctor. It's great to listen to you again. I don't know if you have covered this part of the water deal or not, but will reverse osmosis remove the chlorine and the fluoride?
As far as I know, yes.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction. It's not a big one by any means, and it doesn't make any difference that I make it. But, you know, my wife and I go out to lunch or dinner once or twice a week at the most, maybe, and that's kind of a crapshoot, wondering what you're eating and who touched it. But we've, for all practical purposes, kicked soda because I know what that does to your waistline and everything else. And I usually get water, and every time I go, it's like, can't I get a decent glass of water without having to buy it? And I've talked to every manager of every place we've ever gone over the last year or two and said, you know, you guys really ought to consider getting reverse osmosis water for your customers to drink. You don't have to wash dishes with it. You don't have to cook. Well, it'd be nice if they cooked with it. It'd be nice if that was the water they added to their soda machine. But I said, you know, the only reason we've got non-GMO foods in the grocery stores is because people complained. And I don't know if you can truly trust the non-GMO thing, but I'm trying to spread the word. I said, put up a sign in your restaurant that says, for our loyal customers, we're offering reverse osmosis water, no fluoride, no chlorine, no contaminants. Would that be real expensive for the restaurants to do that, guys?
It's not a question of expense. It's a question of common sense, Dan. You're asking the average Joe Blow manager to use something that requires no thought whatsoever. However, it doesn't matter whether it costs them 2 cents or $2. They're just not going to change, probably.
Probably not.
I have a comment about this, Dan. Reverse osmosis filtration does a really good job, but there's one well, actually a couple problems with it. One problem is that you get about 1 gallon of filtered, we'll call it purified in quotes, water for 10 gallons of water used. So it's tremendously wasteful in terms of water. Now, if water's free and it's abundant, that's one thing. But literally, you will waste 10 gallons of water to produce 1 gallon of filtered reverse osmosis water.
I didn't realize
that's a huge problem.
I didn't.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem with it. There's another problem with it, and that is that the system has a membrane that can harbor bacteria. So the system has to be cleaned, and if it's not cleaned properly, then you'll be contaminating the water with bacteria that grows in the reverse osmosis filtering system.
So it has to be.
So I agree with you. Well,
I'm sorry, go
ahead. I have one. I have one here, and I've experimented with it, and I took it out because it's not the ideal solution. The ideal solution is to not. Chlorine is easy to remove. You can remove chlorine with a carbon block filter. I'm talking about Berkey, ProPure. Those filters will remove the chlorine, and they'll remove, depending on which filter you get. If you have a ProPure, it will remove fluoride, which is wonderful. Berkey has a two-step filtration system, as I remember it, that you need two separate filters to remove the chlorine and another one to remove the fluoride. What we do is we don't have fluoride in our water, so we're just interested in removing everything else. And we use carbon as the medium. We filter all our water through carbon, and then you dispose of the filter.
Yeah, we do too.
If the RO, or reverse osmosis filtration system, is not properly maintained, you get really sick from it. So we took ours out, and what I'm doing now is I'm using a ultraviolet light to kill the bacteria, and I'm using carbon to remove the heavy metals and pretty much everything else that is in there. So that's what I'm doing. But you are absolutely right. I find that when I had gone to restaurants, and it's very, very infrequently, they'll say, what would you like to drink? And they're suggesting some kind of soda or some kind of a tea or some kind of a coffee. And I say, well, thank you anyway. No, nothing, thank you. You don't even want water? No, you can't drink the water. It's not drinkable. If you don't flavor it with something and mask how bad that water tastes, you cannot drink it. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Right.
It's like it would appear to me that it should have a warning label on it that it's toxic. It is absolutely horrible. By the way, Dan Sutterfield in Rolla, Missouri, you are aware that you have a nuclear reactor right in Rolla, Missouri, right?
Yes, I drive by it. I drive through the loop near the university library every time we go to the library, and I just grit my teeth wondering if that sucker's leaking.
Well, I think they all leak. It's just a question of how much.
How much,
right.
Yeah.
And it's at the university. It's at the
Sure
University of Science and Technology, Missouri. Yeah, it's a state-owned nuclear reactor. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, it's not a real big building. It's just and nondescript.
Hiding the inevitable.
I don't know how deep into the ground it goes. I've never been in it. I don't know. I guess it wouldn't kill you to go in it once, but maybe it would. Who knows?
It might kill you slowly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know, but I just wanted to mention that. And class, you might want to find out, do a search and find out if there's a nuclear reactor, in your village. Anything else you'd like to share with us? Yeah.
Both of you guys something about Fukushima?
Sure.
Have you got onto that topic yet today or recently?
No, we have not talked about Fukushima.
Well, I'm sure you're aware of it. It's been going on now for 6-7 years, and they keep dumping seawater into it, and it runs right back into the ocean.
Oh, yeah. In the background, radioactive material throughout this country is twice what it was before Fukushima.
Well, evidently there was a website a few years, before Fukushima that you could get on and just check background radiation along the coast of California. And not too long after Fukushima started doing its thing, that website was shut down. They don't really want people to know. And I heard now I'm not spreading rumors, guys, but this is what I heard. That the background radiation was like 200 to 300 times what it used to be, before Fukushima cracked open or whatever.
I've heard that on the West Coast, yes.
And then I also heard one other fact about it. Again, not to spread rumor. You guys correct me if you've heard different or if I'm just out there in left field. Along the western coast of Canada, British Columbia, there's a lot of rivers that run into the ocean, I guess, from the mountains and bays and estuaries there. And that used to be a real handy place to check samples of marine life. The colleges and whoever's studying that stuff would go up and down the coast and get down to the bays and estuaries and take samples. And they said that there was over 50,000 different kinds of creatures that lived in those bays and estuaries. Not that many animals, but different kinds. Lot more than that, evidently. And after Fukushima, sorry, cheap cigarettes. After Fukushima, they found a total of 50 all along the western coast of Canada. And the people that did that attribute it directly to the radiation. Have you guys heard anything like that?
I have, but I haven't been able to see unequivocal facts. It's just
right. That's why I said I'm not trying to
trust. I don't trust the seafood from there now.
Well, it's not uncommon to go to restaurants like Long John Silver's and see their North Pacific cod special. And I asked him one day, I said, "Is that your Fukushima special?" And I said it with a straight face, and he looked at me and goes, "I don't know what you mean." And I said, "That's all right. I didn't go into it."
NETC, Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center.com, NETC.com is down, just as you said. And we used to report the readings of radioactivity in the air all over the world, especially in the United States, for years. And I've tried on 2 computers with 2 browsers while you were talking about this, Dan, that we cannot establish a connection with the server at netc.com now. So it looks like it's down. And it may be because the information is too dangerous for people to handle. And we had been reporting it, and we thought it was a great website. And, of course, we've heard people say, "Oh, come on, Japan is so far away, it'll never get here." Well, I was here in months.
Now, that is the ultimate stupidity.
Well, we've heard it. I've heard it. Our class has heard it. And, that radiation was here within months. And Japan has absolutely poisoned all of the oceans on our planet, because all of them are interconnected, all of them. And we come back, Dan, I'm going to tell you something that happened in Virginia when there was a tsunami to water wells. Phone lines are lighting up. Dan Sutterfield's with us in Missouri. Joey will be with you in just a couple of minutes. Mark in New York will be with you as well. I just wanted to mention something to Dan and Dr. Shealy. When I lived in Virginia a couple decades ago, there was a tsunami that was in the Atlantic. And that water pressure reached the coast of Virginia. And there was a guy that worked at Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, also known as Virginia Tech. He measured the effects of that tsunami in the Atlantic on a water well, a freshwater well, inland at Virginia Tech. And what he told me was that the water column rose 100 feet above the normal water level. So here's what I'm telling you. And I've never heard anybody talk about this on the air. Never. What I'm saying is that there is an equilibrium between the ocean's salt water and the freshwater aquifers that we have. And we don't think they're connected. But the answer is they are connected. And here's proof. So in Florida, which is surrounded on 3 sides by water, Florida has water pressure from the oceans and the Gulf pressing inward on the land. But the fresh water that comes from the rain that's in the underground aquifers is pushing outward. So they're at equilibrium. But what's happened is with all these golf courses and all the homes that we've built in Florida, we're taking water out of the underground aquifers. And what's happening, the salt water that's pushing inward is contaminating the groundwater because we've removed some of the pressure pushing outward from the land by taking the water out of under the land. So we are doing this, and we are proving that the ocean's waters and our freshwater supply are interconnected. Now, I've never heard anybody talk about that, but that's the truth.
I haven't heard that either. How in Virginia, how far was that well from the actual coastline?
I've got a map in front of me. I don't have it.
Just ballpark.
I'm trying to bring it up. Okay. All right. 150 miles.
I figured you'd say 5 miles.
Well, no. Well,
I don't know. I don't
Virginia
know Virginia
Polytech.
that well.
No, Virginia Polytech is about 150 miles inland.
That's amazing.
So,
and that water pressure, that wave coming in, raised that well how high? Another 100 feet higher than normal?
Yes. Now, if you think about it, it all makes sense because water is not compressible. I mean, you can't squeeze 2 gallons of water into into a 1 gallon of water container. You can't do it. It's not like air; you can't compress it. So when that massive hydraulic force slammed into the East Coast, it traveled pushed the underground water, and it had to go somewhere. So it went up. And I'm sure it wasn't just that well. I'm sure it was wells all over the East Coast. It's just that most people aren't looking down the well to say, you know, what's it now? What's it now? What's the height now? What's the height now? We don't have measurements on that. So we didn't notice it. Just wanted to share that with you.
That's amazing.
Dan, I appreciate your call.
I would have not figured that there were that many conduits, capillaries, whatever you want to call them, that would have connected the two.
Yeah, just like the human body, right?
Evidently. Wow.
Dan, thanks so much. Thanks so much for being with us. I've got callers stacked. Okay, there goes Dan. Joey in Michigan, welcome.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Great.
I was just with your sewage water. I remember when I was in Sedalia, went to a restaurant for breakfast, and the water in the glass smelled like sewage, like you would find in the street. So I went out in the car, got a bottle of water, actually brought 3 in because there were 3 other people and they too. And I just give them bottles of water. And I said, oh, let us pay it. I said, no, don't worry about it. It's 10 cents. But while I'm calling, I got 3 questions. Remote viewing, flashing lights, does it cause epilepsy? And we'll start with those when we get back from whatever.
There we go. We're going into a commercial break. Joey's with us. Mark, please stand by. Mark in Western New York. All right, so Joey in Michigan, please continue.
So you can hear me now?
We can, yep. I don't know what happened, but we're good.
So, that's what happens when the guy's talking about Gacy last week. My question is, all the new municipal vehicles, fire trucks, police cars, have a new high-tech LED flashing light that wants to burn your eyes and make you dizzy and put you into like an epileptic seizure. And I know Norm is familiar with the goggles and the flashing lights for relaxation and therapeutical, but is there a tool, a device, that you can shine at a flashing light to determine if it'll put you in an epileptic state? Because I'm assuming the government agencies are doing this knowingly or not knowingly, but they're going to cause people a lot of health issues. And I happen to be one of them because yesterday, even a fire truck coming, the first truck had the new lights. You couldn't see. You were paralyzed. And that was a question. Is there such a tool that you can determine the flicker rate, the flash of a light, and if it could put you into an epileptic state?
Well, I am not aware of any reported epileptic induction by flashing light at a frequency below 12 cycles per second. In other words, it looks as if it has to be at least 15 cycles per second or more for people to be sensitive to it in that way. And I have certainly treated many hundreds of people with epilepsy with the, 1 to 7 cycle per second flashing lights with never a seizure. Actually, the most common cause of flashing light-induced seizures is television. There's certain times when television has particular frequencies. There was an episode of some kind of television program in Japan that left a couple of hundred kids in having seizures.
Have you guys seen any of them lights? Because I know I noticed it starting last winter, not this year, last winter with the snowplow trucks and the green lights. They're so bright. And when it's dark out, they illuminate even better, and it's like seeing a flash cube go off when you're not expecting it. So
yeah,
that was...
I tend not to go out when there's snowplows going.
No, I know, but sometimes you're stuck. You happen to be on the road, and I try to avoid it at all costs. My next question is about remote viewing.
Joe, you're breaking up.
Really?
Well, actually, it's me. Yeah, well, actually, it's me now. I can see it on my screen. I'm breaking up. Not now, but I was before. Those lights that you're talking about, the police car lights, are absolutely blinding. There's no question. Red, white, and blue. They're dangerous.
And they're doing it intentionally, in my opinion. So the question is, we've got to find a tool. We as the John Galts have to find a tool, and if everybody started in a lawsuit, every state, they'd have to find different lights. I mean, the old lights worked just fine, and they were kind of bad, but these new ones, they're piercing. They it seems to me almost like a physical intent. Or they're that stupid. I know they're stupid. I didn't realize they're that stupid and ignorant that they would actually put lights out there without testing them. And I would encourage all the people using these, we'd take their family and put them on the road, put them in harm's way like they put me yesterday and at various other times. Because let's lead by example. Always it's important. If they think it's a good idea, well, I'm beginning to believe their family should be the ones paving the way, right?
I don't have any disagreement with that. Joey, I believe that it is intentional. I believe that when this was developed, whoever developed it said, this is so good because, you'll be able to see this for miles. You'll be able to see these lights for miles. And you can. You can. If you're on a hill and and these lights are ahead of you, you can see them for miles. No question about it. They are piercing. They are blinding. They are distracting. They are dangerous. And I believe that it's intentional. Now, I'm thinking about my reaction if I got pulled over by the blue plague and they had these lights on me and they said license and registration. I'm afraid I might say something like, you know what? I don't think I can do anything until you turn those lights off.
But Vince, the light's facing you, because I did get pulled over last year for not having the little bulb on the license plate, and then that was going to be $125 gift from the human sickness. And it's not so much the light facing you, it's the ones facing the cars coming up. Because the minute he was done with me and I pulled away, which, by the way, I told you that story and you said relive it, so I will. I got out to verify my plate was out. He says, you, get back in the car. He treated me like I was some kind of criminal. And I put my hands up and I says, hey, I'm verifying my light being out because I can't trust you people anymore. And I looked and I put my hands up just like, oh, I guess you're right. But that was that point. But I'm tired of it. But let's go on to the next question with remote viewing, because I don't want to let this rest, but I do want to know if there's going to be, and anybody can call in, if there is a tool we can scan at a light to find out how it affects your brain frequency, because that light is affecting your brain pattern. I know that for sure.
Well, the brain follows frequency. And so whatever frequency, we've known this since the EEGs were discovered in the 20s. And in general, again, there's not, to my knowledge, I've never seen any report of a seizure induced by frequency below 12 cycles.
But if it was above 12 cycles and it was intentional...
15 is the one which is usually likely to induce seizures. Any frequency.
Dr. Shealy, just 1 second. I want to make sure I understand this. The light frequency, I'm thinking, is probably below 1 cycle per second. Are you saying that could cause or could not cause? I'm thinking about these lights and how fast they flicker, and it's about 1 flash per second, as I remember it. Would that cause?
Second, no, that has never been reported to cause a seizure. You have to get up to at least, preferably, about 15 cycles per second. 1 cycle just puts you into relaxation.
So I was told that the old computer modules were very efficient with the flicker rate. They didn't cause harm. The new high-tech flat screens, and probably the flat screen TV as well, has a much higher flicker rate. So it will cause you, if you were using a speed running program and you were using it on a computer screen, the new flat screens flickering so fast could put you in an induced epileptic seizure. And it appears that these wonderful people are abusing us daily in higher amounts, more and more and more. And it's just getting to be way too much, because every time you and I talk, Vince, I mean, it's unbelievable. And the stuff that keeps coming up. I mean, your story starting out with Venezuela would have been priceless. I mean, that's a whole show in itself. That's a whole show in itself. The water's another one about, you can't even go anywhere without you're afraid to get water in a restaurant, and they're not going to put osmosis in it because, first of all, 90% of the people don't even know you're being poisoned. So why would they have an extra expense? And, now we're with these lights. And then, I wanted to ask a question, Norm. A person with MS, is there any way that you could rebuild their telomeres with MS, but then on top of it, they had some kind of a pump put in that releases, I don't know what it releases. So that would then cause the pump an electrical short, I'm sure.
Well, honestly, I don't know the answer to that, because you'd have to do research on people with MS.
Right.
And I have not done that, and I don't know anybody who has.
There's so many questions.
No.
Go ahead.
Joey, hold on 1 second. I just did a quick search about, and here's all I typed in on a search engine. Do new police lights cause seizures? Do new police lights cause seizures? Result, quote, some specific examples of situations or events that can trigger seizures in people with photosensitive epilepsy are nightclub and theater lights, including strobe lights, television screens and computer monitors, flashing lights on police cars, fire trucks, ambulances, and safety alarms. End quote.
And that's
from WebMD, WebMD.com, November 11th, 2018. Now, I could be wrong, Dr. Shealy, about that frequency, and I'm thinking, as I remember, 1 flash per second. However, there are the red lights, the blue lights, the white lights, and they could be triggered independently, because there's not just one red, one blue, one white. There are multiple reds, blues, and whites. So if they're triggered at 1 per second, but they are in a series triggered, and let's say there are 18 lights, that's 18 cycles per second. That would be for the front, and then 18 for the back, 36 cycles. So it's possible that we're talking about a lot of cycles per second. I don't know the answer, but I'm just theorizing that could be more cycles per second. We'll be right back, and we've got Mark as well as Joey. Mark, we're going to try to get to you. Please stand by. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. And class, we are learning to despise cops for their actions. Now, one might say, it's not the cop that pulled you over who put those lights on the cop assault vehicles. Yes, it is. It is the cops that put them on. It's the police chief and it's the sheriff. Those are the guys that approved the expenditure to put those new lights on those vehicles to blind us. It is the cops. Joey, we've got just a couple seconds, and Mark in Western New York.
Remote viewing, Doc Norm. Are you familiar with it?
I'm not.
Hello?
I'm not.
Okay, that was the question. All right, I'll let Mark get on, and maybe we'll follow up on these lights next week. Thanks. You guys have a great day. Be safe.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Thank you, Joey. Mark in Western New York, thank you so much for being kind and staying with us.
Thank you, Vince. NETC is back up. There was a problem with it, but it's been resolved. You were aware this was the 8th anniversary of Fukushima, right?
Yes, the 11th was, yes. The 11th of March.
Even though it's the 12th in Japan. Anyways, the main point I wanted to get out is anybody that is into this topic as much as I am, will you allow me to give a plug for another network tonight at 10 p.m.?
Of course.
Jeff Rentz is going to have Yoichi Shimatsu and Kevin Blanche and Dana Durnford on 10 p.m. Eastern to 1 a.m. and then it rebroadcasts all tomorrow and like 6 a.m. Eastern and then again at noon Eastern. But shouldn't interfere with your show. These are the folks that have been on it. Go ahead.
I really like Jeff Rentz. Jeff Rentz has agreed to be one of our instructors. And for those in class who have a satellite from Rick's satellite, you can pick up the Rentz network on that satellite as well as USA Prepares, as well as Republic Broadcasting. Please continue.
The three meltdowns continue. They have not stopped. They have continued to burrow through the earth, the molten corium. I spent thousands of hours studying this in the past 8 years, and even though the mainstream will cover it, the people out there that have no idea need to know some of the facts regarding it. And I know we're short on time, so it's basically do your own research, but there are a lot of naysayers out there, and academia is the worst culprit as far as disinformation. It's the independents that are out there promoting what's really going on. So please, folks, do your homework and read up, listen up, and view some of these YouTube videos, even the ones that Vince and Captain John did back in 2015. I believe it was late December, early January. Those are still up on YouTube. But one other thing is the State Secret Act. I think that was passed sometime in 2013 in Japan, that gives jail time up to 10 years to anybody reporting on the situation. Any insiders or whistleblowers of that type, they're facing prison time, not jail time. And they, I'm sure, are pretty strict about it. You can also go to the internet, search out TEPCO's webcam, Fukushima. Go ahead.
Mark, would you be so kind as to give your telephone number off the air to Alex, our engineer? I'd like to call you after the broadcast. Can you do that?
Sure.
Okay. And let's see if we can get you on and get you some more time to cover this very, very important topic, Fukushima. I know that even in 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania, dandelion leaves have grown to 3 feet in length. No kidding. So don't hang up. Give your phone number, Mark, in Western New York to Alex, and Alex will give it to me on the stack. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you. Thank you, Dr. Norman Shealy.